Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters. But beyond the iconic proton packs and slime, the making of the 1984 classic is filled with strange, funny, and little-known stories. From casting surprises and improvised moments, to the struggles behind creating those unforgettable special effects, there's so much more to Ghostbusters than what you see on screen. Today, we're diving into 10 fascinating facts about the original Ghostbusters movie that even diehard fans might not know. Ghostbusters wasn't the first title choice, believe it or not. Ghostbusters almost had a completely different name. When Columbia Pictures was making the film, they discovered that a children's show from the 1970s had already used the title, The Ghostbusters. For a while, the studio considered alternatives like Ghostbreakers or Ghostdoppers. But the cast and crew loved the name Ghostbusters so much that they filmed several takes using it anyway. Eventually, Columbia fought hard, bought the rights, and secured the iconic title we all know today. Without that battle, one of the most famous movie names in history might have sounded very, very different. John Belushi was supposed to star. When Dan Aykroyd first imagined Ghostbusters, he wrote the role of Peter Venkman with one actor in mind. His close friend, John Belushi. Belushi's wild, unpredictable energy was meant to define the team's personality. But tragically, Belushi passed away in 1982 before the film could move forward. In honor of him, Aykroyd reworked the script, and the part eventually went to Bill Murray, who brought his own sarcastic charm and dry humor. While Murray made Venkman unforgettable, Aykroyd has often said he still sees the spirit of Belushi in the DNA of Ghostbusters. The library ghost was too scary at first. The very first ghost encounter in Ghostbusters, the famous library ghost, almost set an entirely different tone for the movie. In the original cut, when the ghost transformed, it didn't just scream. It turned into a truly terrifying demon, with grotesque features and nightmarish effects. But when test audiences saw it, the reaction wasn't laughter or excitement. It was genuine fear. People found it so disturbing that it risked throwing off the movie's balance between comedy and supernatural thrills. So the filmmakers decided to tone it down, softening the design to make it creepy and surprising without being traumatizing. It's a great example of how Ghostbusters had to walk a fine line. Scary enough to be thrilling, but funny enough to keep audiences entertained. The original script was wildly different. When Don Aykroyd first wrote Ghostbusters, it looked nothing like the movie we know today. His draft had the Ghostbusters jumping through time and space, chasing ghosts in different dimensions, and even battling supernatural threats in the future. It was epic, ambitious, and nearly impossible to film. The budget would have been astronomical, so the studio pushed Aykroyd and Harold Ramis to scale it down into something grounded in New York City. The result was leaner, funnier, and more relatable. And that's how Ghostbusters as we know it was born. The proton packs were heavy. One of the most iconic pieces of Ghostbusters gear is the proton pack, but behind the scenes, they were anything but fun to wear. Each pack weighed close to 30 pounds, and the actors had to carry them for hours during long filming days. Imagine running, crouching, or even pretending to fight ghosts while strapped to what felt like a small refrigerator on your back. Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis later joked that the packs were designed to hurt you, because of how exhausting they were. Still, the realism paid off. The bulky design made the Ghostbusters look like true blue-collar workers tackling the paranormal, and that weight helped sell the illusion that the packs were real, high-tech ghost-catching machines. The Stay-Puft Marshmallow Man almost didn't happen. The Stay-Puft Marshmallow Man is one of the most unforgettable images in Ghostbusters. A giant, smiling mascot stomping through New York City like a sugary Godzilla. But believe it or not, this finale almost never made it to the screen. When the idea first came up, the special effects team thought it was far too ambitious and nearly impossible to pull off convincingly in 1984. A creature that big with practical effects and costumes would normally look ridiculous. Yet through a mix of miniatures, suits, and clever camera tricks, the team made it work. What started as a risky gamble became one of the most iconic and surreal movie monsters of all time, proving that bold ideas, even a marshmallow kaiju, can become cinematic legends. Sigourney Weaver improvised her audition. When Sigourney Weaver auditioned for Ghostbusters, she didn't just read lines, she went all in. During her tryout, she surprised the directors by pretending to transform into a dog, crawling around and growling right in the room. This bold choice perfectly hinted at her character Dana Barrett, who later becomes possessed by Zool and nearly turns into a demonic creature. The unexpected improvisation impressed Ivan Reitman so much that it sealed the deal for her casting. Weaver's fearless moves showed not only her creativity, but also her ability to bring something wild and memorable to the role, making her one of the film's most iconic characters. Eddie Murphy nearly joined the team. Believe it or not, Ghostbusters almost had Eddie Murphy as part of the squad. At the time, Murphy was one of the biggest rising stars in comedy, and the role of Winston Zeddemore was written with him in mind. The plan was for Winston to have a much larger role, delivering sharp one-liners alongside Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd, but Murphy turned it down, so he could star in Beverly Hills Cop, a movie that went on to become a massive hit and launch him even further into stardom. Because of this, Winston's part in Ghostbusters was trimmed down, giving Ernie Hudson a smaller but still memorable role. It's one of those what-ifs in movie history, a version of Ghostbusters with Eddie Murphy cracking jokes right in the middle of the chaos. Slimer was a tribute to Belushi, one of the most iconic ghosts in Ghostbusters. Slimer was actually created as a tribute to John Belushi. The designers based his wild expression and gluttonous behavior on Belushi's legendary performance as Bluto in Animal House. Even his non-stop eating and messy energy were meant to capture Belushi's chaotic spirit. Though Belushi passed away before Ghostbusters was filmed, Slimer became a fun, ghostly homage to him. What started as a side gag turned into one of the franchise's most recognizable characters, beloved by fans and appearing in sequels, cartoons, and tons of merchandise. Bill Murray went off-script constantly. Peter Venkman's sarcastic, wisecracking personality is one of the things that makes Ghostbusters so memorable, and much of it came straight from Bill Murray himself. On set, Murray frequently went off-script, improvising lines and reactions that weren't in Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis's original draft. His spontaneous humor created moments of genuine surprise for the other actors, especially during paranormal encounters. The filmmakers loved the unpredictability, letting Murray riff freely, which added a unique charm to Venkman. Many of his most iconic quips, including his flirty lines with Sigourney Weaver's Dana Barrett, were completely improvised, proving that sometimes the best comedy comes from unscripted chaos. And there you have it, 10 hidden facts that prove Ghostbusters is just as fascinating behind the scenes as it is on screen. Which one surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video with fellow Ghostbusters fans. Until next time.